serious at all. But it is sort of the catch-all meme aesthetic of nonsensical repetition of algorithmic slang. And Skibbity comes out of that YouTube short series. Riz comes from this Twitch streamer, Kai Cenat. But both are kind of taking on this role of absurdity in the algorithmic kind of milieu. It's more of, it's absurd because it's being recommended to us by the algorithm. And then middle schoolers start saying it because it sounds funny.
And then when older people start saying it, they stop saying it.
Exactly. I think we're well past Skibbity. I think Skibbity is on its last throes right now. It may be in the dictionary, but it's getting less and less popular.
You can use my word, Trump-bootineers, because it's appropriate.
I feel like these new, I don't know, by the time I understand it, they'll have moved on, so what's the point? But that's probably smart. Nobody wants to hear me saying Skibbity anyway, except they just did.
Well, you know, some of the trends that really stick out, I think they have shorter lifespans because it is that thing that you mentioned. Once your grandmother starts saying Skibbity, you no longer want to say Skibbity yourself.
Hey, I'm not a grandma yet.
I wasn't calling you a grandmother.
Okay.
But there is that aspect to how trends die out, that once it starts being used by an out group, it initially had value because it was in the in group, and now it no longer has that value, so it no longer has any cachet as a joke. And then we move on, and there's constantly new jokes percolating. I also think it's important to pay attention to the jokes that don't seem as obvious or don't even appear as jokes in the first place. I think these are the words that are actually going to change our language more permanently. Words that are percolating from usually minority groups or from more fringe phenomena, those are the ones that actually end up influencing our language. So I talk about the distinction between Skibbity and low-key. So low-key is this adverb. It's been around since the 1800s as a word meaning like muted or something. But it was recently popularized in an adverbial sense, and this is from African American English, where people would say, "Oh, that party was low-key."
Come from?
Meaning like chill?
Yeah, well, low-key, yeah, it kind of means like, you know, nonchalant. I don't want to say it too much, being more low-key about it, right? It's muted. It's mutedness, it's reservedness.
Also, the way you just use nonchalant, not how I use nonchalant.
Oh yeah, the word nonchalant is evolving as well. There's been an internet meme since like 2023 about how people are using this. So I guess it's tough being a translator when you're also deep in the kind of algorithm yourself. But yeah, so low-key, I think, and these changing, I think it's those words that don't stick out that are going to have a greater impact on our language 100 years from now.
So what you're just saying actually is explaining a lot of my 15-year-old daughter's behavior. I mean, teenagers, whatever, whatever that, every generation has its own way of rebelling, but nonchalance is definitely a thing.
Oh, absolutely. I also, the more important about 15-year-olds, I think these kids are the bellwethers.
Describe what the difference in how they think that,
they are
how
the
they use
ones
that
that
word.
are actually most flexible with their linguistic behaviors. The elementary schoolers aren't quite as tapped into social trends yet or as searching to create identities, and older people are more entrenched in our ideas of how language should be, what words are supposed to sound like. And middle schoolers are forming their identity. They're trying to differentiate themselves from adults and from previous generations. They're trying to build a collective kind of identity for themselves, and so they are more flexible with adopting language. So you should be paying attention to your 15-year-old if you want to really understand what the state of the English language is right now.
So I guess someone would say like, yeah, but in my, at my school, I remember there was like certain words, this is kind of gross, but in 4th grade, there was a kid who would spit at people, but only using his glands under his tongue, and he called it a gleek. Super weird. But then it just took off in the 4th grade. It was like boys would gleek the girl that they liked. Gross. But also, clearly good word, because it stuck with me for all these years. But that's always been the case. Like, how is it different than, social groups coming up with their own language, or for that matter, like the printing press, the radio?
I'm so glad we're bringing up the printing press and the radio, because the medium is the message. The way we're talking is going to shape the way that trends diffuse. And I'm not going to say, oh, it's new that humans are using language to communicate or come up with social trends. No, that is a fundamentally human activity, and we will always do it, and we will always find new ways to do it. But the algorithm is now mediating that interaction in the same way that the classroom did with the word gleek. The story of which as a whole is told by what medium is using to communicate. before we had parchment and papyrus and everything, we relied a lot more on oral communication. Stories would be told through rhyme and meter, and then we moved to parchment and paper, and people were really concerned about that at the time. I think Plato was concerned about brain rot from people not memorizing things as much. Then we start segmenting our stories differently with paper, right? We can have chapters. We can actually put spaces between words as opposed to stone tablets where all the words are smushed together. And then we start mass producing things with the printing press. And the printing press now allows for vernacular language to reproduce and kind of solidify also at the same time the traditional gatekeepers of who gets to control how we talk. And so for a while, the printing press is the dominant mode of communication. You have a lot of standard language being replicated in all these different languages rather than just church Latin. And the internet finally creates this opportunity for the written replication of informal speech. You have people using slang words. You have people writing in lowercase and using abbreviations. And this is sort of this revolution in who can talk and who can vote on what language is supposed to be like.
Check my content. Use my word. Trump ears.
I think is the new inflection point.
That's what I've called MAGA for years.
Algorithms govern the distribution of content.
I don't know what type of videos I'm going to post on here yet.
Okay, but why is your content not blowing up if you're doing everything right?
Check out my content.
Things don't go viral unless they work for the algorithm. And what that means is that the language we're using is always sort of performing for the algorithm as well. And this is this medium that is always there, that is always shaping how ideas diffuse online. And that means any idea that diffuses is either good for the algorithm or it's created for the algorithm. That means using words like unalive. That means playing into trends like skibbity. That means a lot of creators are just incentivized to come up with new words or use trendy language because the algorithm sees that language as metadata. In the past, metadata was something like a hashtag, something that
also say Trump Putin and Yahoo.
Now the algorithm sees everything. The natural language processing, computer vision components, all sub-algorithms analyze that, and they create this numerical representation of what a video is. And they already know what the video is about, but the word is part of that. So we're incentivized to use words that aid in the distribution of our own video.
Hi. Thanks.
Just to follow up on, the classic Marshall McLuhan idea of the medium is the message.
I have Marshall McLuhan right here.
The algorithm is the one that's shaping language. But to be clear, the algorithm is programmed by people who work for very large tech companies who want to monetize.
Absolutely, and they create those structures that are then replicated by other influencers down the line. That you need engagement, you need retention, which is how long people watch a video. You need likes. And so now, as an influencer, I'm trying to make all my videos to get people to watch the whole time, and I want to get likes. Otherwise, the video is not going to be distributed. So I have to play into that. I also want to note that there's emergent social phenomena that aren't programmed just by these engineers. It's not purely like this top-down process. There's social expectations that come with each medium.
Check out
Live from NPR News in Washington. I'm Dave Mattingly.
On NPR, you have like an NPR voice that's been studied.
President Trump is making his first official trip of
Clearly, I am not good at adapting into this.
So I think they've been trying to get rid of that for years, though.
But at the same time,
here I am.
You're speaking in maybe a more radio-friendly voice. I'm speaking in a more algorithm-friendly voice because that's what we've learned to talk when we're kind of communicating like this.
Somebody might be like, what do you mean an algorithm?
There's actually a bunch of different types of influencer accents, but you're probably familiar with the most famous sort of lifestyle influencer accent, the hey guys, welcome to NPR. Today we're going to be talking about algorithms. It has that up talk. It has the rising tone.
One of the worst ways of talking
not
in
getting
general.
any response from anyone, so you're like trying to have a conversation with yourself.
Exactly. This is a one-sided communication that is an important part of shaping it, but that's not all. I could just continuously monotone deadpan into the camera and that wouldn't go viral because there's an expectation of how people are supposed to talk. And this sort of lifestyle influencer accent came out of the previous YouTube accent, which came out of the Valley Girl accent. So there's layers of social prestige in how we talk, and there's an expectation of what the lifestyle influencer is supposed to sound like.
Now, wait. Are you saying that the human brain is attracted to those and therefore it gets more listens and therefore the algorithm continues to push it? Or are you saying that the algorithm is hearing those intonations and pushing it harder on people?
No, I don't think the algorithm is picking up on accent intonations. I think there is actual human bias toward social prestige. We evaluate any kind of social situation through our lens of like, is this something worth listening to? And then like our slight scroll patterns get replicated through what the algorithm recommends. The algorithm doesn't even need to analyze whether or not this person's speaking in a lifestyle influencer accent. It's merely telling that, oh, this viewer scrolled away quickly because this person wasn't speaking in a socially approved accent in their minds, and that means I'm going to recommend this video to fewer users. And so there's sort of a selection that happens for socially desirable accents to replicate. And I also want to clarify that's only one type of accent that's the most stereotyped, because women are scrutinized with language. I speak in what I call an educational influencer accent. I'll talk very quickly, I'll stress more words to keep you watching my video.
I get the sense though that you were a fast talker always, no?
I definitely am a fast talker, and I'm definitely giving away myself here. But also there's a perfection that I strive for in the videos where I'll retake certain clips if it seems like I don't have the right intonation on the right word, or if I stumble on my words, if I don't talk fast enough. And so what now is still like a kind of more natural way of speaking for me. And I, again, would probably speak differently if I was in a larger group conversation where you don't need to, it's like more laid back, it's more demure.
You're so nonchalant, Adam, my God.
I don't want to be chalant all the time. There's a time and a place to be chalant, and then there's a time to be nonchalant.
Wait, hold on. There's a difference between chalant and nonchalant?
Well, nonchalant is being reserved, and then...
No, but chalant is not its own word, what?
But it is. It is now. It's a slang word that was popularized through, like, social media.
Meaning?
And people talk... Meaning the opposite of nonchalant, meaning you are overt about something.
Like jazzed?
Yeah, you're excited about something. I'm chalant about language,
When I say jazzed, are you like, whoa, 87, or what?
I mean, I probably would just use the word chalant, exactly.
When we come back, Adam's concern and optimism for social media users, younger ones in particular. Plus, Adam and I go viral. Maybe.
Oh, you didn't know about
Right,
the
how
word?
do we do? Oh, sorry. Such a terrible. Okay. Today on the show, the creator economy and its effects on language. I'm Manusha Zamrodi, and you're listening to the TED Radio Hour from NPR. Stay with us.
Airplanes don't typically land on Colorado 14ers. But in January 1967, a Cessna landed on Mount Sherman near Leadville. At the time, the FAA called it the most daring and spectacular mountaintop save in aviation history. The charter flight on its way to Aspen ran into a winter storm. Extreme downdrafts forced it into an emergency landing. The summit of Mount Sherman is always windy and so rocky that a landing is not normally possible. But that day, it was deep in snow, and the pilot brought the plane down with only minor injuries to all 5 on board, who did, however, suffer sub-zero temperatures for a day before the weather cleared and a helicopter came to the rescue. A calmer way to experience Mount Sherman is on foot, as it's one of the easiest 14ers to climb in good weather. In winter, you'll need snowshoes and an ice axe, or possibly a pilot's license.
A Colorado postcard from Colorado Public Radio.
Support for the TED Radio Hour comes from Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses, from retailers to tradespeople. Progressive covers a variety of business needs with a range of coverages,